In this video, we're going to use the sum and difference formula for cosine. It says you are given that cosine A is equal to negative 5/13 with A in quadrant 2 and B and sine B equals 7/25 with B in quadrant 2. Find cosine A plus B given your answer as a fraction. So they tell us that cosine is negative and sine is positive. So we're talking about quadrant 2 here. So let's go ahead and draw a quadrant 2 triangle. We got theta here. And they tell us sine is 7/25 and cosine is negative 5/13. So they want us to find cosine A plus B. And this is actually what's called a sum or difference formula. And so I'm going to write out what the sum formula is for cosine. So the sum formula for cosine is cosine A plus B is equal to cosine A, cosine B, minus sine A, sine B. Now, we have this quadrant 2 triangle, and they tell us that for cosine A, which is angle A, and cosine A, which is angle A, you get a ratio of negative 5/13. And then you have sine B, and for angle B, that would be 7/25. So we really have two triangles. So I'm actually going to redraw this and draw two triangles here. So I've got triangle 1 in quadrant 2, which has an angle A, and we can label the sides for this one, which would be negative 5 here, 13 here. And then we need to do the same thing for another quadrant 2 triangle, which would be here. We have angle B, and this time we have sine, which is 7 and 25 here. So what we need to do is we need to go through and we need to find the other sides using the Pythagorean theorem for both of these. And then we would have both cosine A and sine A for this triangle. And then we would have also cosine B and sine B for this triangle, which we need both of those to use this formula. So let's go ahead and figure out this piece here. Well, I would have, let's call this y. I'd have y squared plus negative 5 squared is equal to 13 squared. 13 squared is 169. So we have y squared plus 25 equals 169. Subtract the 25, you get y squared equals 144. And so square root each side, you get y is equal to 12. So this value here is 12, which tells us that we can say now that sine of A would equal 12/13. So then we need to do the same thing with B. So to find B, we're going to square this. So we'd have, well, square 7, we'll call this x. So we have 7 squared plus x squared is equal to 25 squared. So this 7 squared is 49 plus x squared equals 25 squared is 625. So we subtract the 49, we get x squared is equal to 576. Square root that, and we get x is equal to 24. But this would have to be negative because we're in quadrant 2. So we're going to write this as negative 24. So our cosine of B is equal to negative 24/25. So now we have all the information that we need to use the sum and difference formula here for cosine. So this would be just the sum formula, but we're going to write cosine of A plus B is equal to cosine A, which they gave us at the beginning, which is negative 5/13, times cosine B, which we found right here, negative 24/25, minus sine A, which they gave us, let's see, sine A, well, no, we found it, 12/13, and then times sine b, which sine b they gave us at the beginning, which was 7 over 25. We're going to multiply all that together and combine. When we multiply the first fraction together, we're going to get, let's see, we can cross cancel here actually, so let's cross cancel the 5 and the 25. And if we do that, we end up with just 5 here. So 5 times 13 would be 65, so it's positive 24 over 65. Let's do some cross canceling if we can here. Doesn't look like we can do any cross canceling, so let's multiply 12 times 7, that's negative 84, over 13 times 25. So if you do 13 times 25, you get 325. Now in the calculator, let's plug this in, and when we plug that in the calculator, we end up with 36 over 325. You could also find a common denominator and subtract these, but just figured the calculator would be easiest. And that's what cosine A plus B is equal to.